So it's time to take a look at the rest of the AFC North and how everything shaped out after the last 3 days. Let's talk about it. Starting off right away, we'll start off with arguably the worst team after the NFL draft. And I say that to very much take off Squealer fans. But when I say the worst team, this isn't a negative thing. The Steelers look really good right now. But their biggest issue is quarterback. Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, definitely going to be interesting to see who ends up starting there. Based on track records, we would assume Mike Tomlin always goes with the veteran. So it's going to most likely be Mason Rudolph. If they do get Aaron Rodgers, he would be the starter. Then it would be Mason Rudolph as a backup, and then Will Howard as the third string. I don't like the fact they got Will Howard, because I think Will Howard is a great quarterback. And I think Will Howard has a potential to be their starter in a couple years. So, quarterback-wise, they're really set right now. And depending on how the season goes, it will depend on how, who ends up being the quarterback. Because if their season starts going downhill and they start playing really bad, it's a good chance that they just put in Will Howard and see what Will Howard can do. They did also get Caleb Johnson in the third round, which is a pretty solid running back for them. Obviously, they did lose Najee Harris, so getting a replacement, very important. They also got Kenneth Gainwell in free agency as well. So, running back core, they're pretty good. Offensive line, got Zach Frazier last year, so they didn't really need too many offensive linemen this year. They also got DK Metcalf, as we know, this offseason. So, receivers, they're pretty good. I'm not too scared of their offense because, again, at the end of the day, you live and die by your quarterback. That's just pretty much how it goes. And I think they will eventually get Aaron Rodgers, so Aaron Rodgers will be their downfall, in my opinion. Their defense, though, is scary. Their defense is definitely scary, and they stacked up on a lot of picks so far in this draft when it comes to the defensive line. Now, I do want to give my condolences to Derek Harmon. First off, I wish you were a Cincinnati Bengal. I'll be honest with you, I really did like him. I know Joe Goodberry was championing for him. But he did lose his mother a couple hours after he got drafted. And definitely not something, that is easy to get over, losing a parent. So my condolences does go out to Derek Harmon for that situation. But other than that, they got Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward. They are running a 3-4 defense. So they do have a D tackle, nose tackle. And yeah, their defense is scary as all heck. And with our offensive line being kind of wishy-washy, and again, we're going to get better, hopefully, and potentially sign some players in free agency, our offensive line needs to be as good as humanly possible to go against this absolutely roided defensive line they have over there in Pittsburgh. And again, I'm starting off saying this is the worst team, I feel like, from this draft in the AFC North, because there's other teams that are also very good. And I think the second best team above Pittsburgh here would be Cleveland. I think Cleveland also had a very good NFL draft. Obviously, now they have this quarterback situation, but Deshaun Watson is out for the year with a torn Achilles yet again. So they have Joe Flacco. They have Blake Whiteheart. Oh, wait, no, that's tight end. They have Kenny Pickett. They have Dylan Gabriel. And they have Shedeur Sanders. So they're going to have to figure out the quarterback situation. I think in the end, Deion Sanders is going to kind of force them to go with Shedeur. I think he'll be the starter day one. In all honesty, I don't think it's going to be any of these other guys. Even though it would be smart to put in Joe Flacco, let the other guys, sit behind him and learn. I think what's going to end up happening is Deion's dad's going to force them to go with Shedeur. I don't think Shedeur is a bad quarterback. I really don't. I think his dad's the reason why he dropped to the 5th round. I think he would have been a first or second round pick if it wasn't for the baggage of his father. And any NFL team knew if they took Shedeur Sanders, they would be in this weird scenario where it's kind of like a I can't think of the word, where it's like this weird relationship where the father has to dictate everything, determine everything, to a point where the father, Deion Sanders, is going to be like the coach of the Cleveland Brownies. Even if he's not legitimately the coach, he's going to make the decisions. And you have to have a franchise that, Browns fans, I'm just going to say it now, that's poorly ran and poorly owned and has absolute no backbone in any way. And I don't think there's a worse run organization than the Cleveland Brownies. I don't think there is. They have gotten better coaches over the last couple years, but overall wise, this is a dumpster fire organization, and this is the only team that made realistic sense for Shedeur to go to, because they need someone where Deion can take control and dictate what happens. No other team would allow that to happen. So it's a perfect spot. I think he'll be started day one. But they did get two really good running backs. They got Judkins and they got Sampsons. And that's going to really, really hurt, especially when it comes to our run defense. We're going to have to get our run defense up to a very good level. You know, the AFC North has got a lot better from this NFL draft. And it's very scary when it comes to this, you know, Brownies offense. And it's weird to say that. Now, they didn't get any receiver outside of they having Jerry Jeudy. They didn't draft anybody. So I'm not really scared of the receiving core. But what I'm scared of is they're going to probably try to make this into a situation where they just run the ball straight down our throats and play defense. And while, yes, we did get a couple guys that could shut down the run, it's never been something that we are good at stopping. So unless we go back and get DJ Reader, it's going to be a fun time. Defensively is where I'm mainly scared of them, though. Again, the receiving core is not that scary. Their, quarterback core, I think, is kind of a joke. But their defensive line is absolutely insane. Having Mason Graham on one side and Myles Garrett on the other side is like running headfirst into a freight train. It's not something you ever want to do. It's not something you ever want to look at. And it's a very scary situation to be in. Then they also got Isaiah I'll be honest, I don't know who that is, let alone care who that is. But again, they do still have really good players. Jeremiah Kolomoa. They drafted Carson in the second round. He's a pretty solid linebacker. And they still have a pretty decent secondary. Definitely needs to work a little bit more in that secondary. But they are also a team that would go out there and trade for Jalen Ramsey. Let's be honest. So they might go get Jalen Ramsey, right? They're going to get even better than that. I still think the Brownies are going to be a 5-win team, right? I don't think this is going to make the Brownies an amazing team. And we already know the Steelers are going to go a solid 9-8, 10-7 because that's what they do. But still, it doesn't mean that when we play these teams twice a year, it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. These are really teams that have gotten a lot better. And when you have an AFC North game, anything could happen. Now let's talk about the Ravens. The Ravens, as always, had a fantastic draft. And their defense just got even scarier. I've been talking about the last couple months about Starks. And honestly, when you pair him with Kyle Hamilton, that's a very scary 1-2 punch to have. Now, we do have the receiving core to, destroy that safety core. But when you put Kyle Hamilton in the box, and then you also put Starks, who's also a really good guy in the box, it's going to be almost impossible to run the ball against them. Now, again, we don't run the ball, right? So that's part of our problem. We don't run the ball very well. And with our offensive line changes, you see the guys we drafted, we got 2 really good pass blockers, not really good run blockers. So that might also continue with the pattern of 60 touchdowns a year for Joe Burrow. The secondary, I still think it has things that they need to work on. Marlon Humphreys does not scare me. He gets cooked alive every single time by Jamar Chase. Nate Wiggins cannot stop the run to save his life. Really great coverage corner from Clemson, but just can't shut down the run to save his life. TJ Tampa does not scare me at all, and neither does Cheeto. I think Cheeto, I love Cheeto, let's be honest, but Cheeto has not been the same since his back surgery, and we saw that when he went to Tennessee. He just simply is not the same guy as he used to be. So I think Cheeto is really going to be the liability there, and their secondary is very much a liability. I'm surprised they didn't draft a cornerback other than Robert Long and Beam, but I actually know they did. They actually drafted 2 corners, but I'm surprised they didn't draft a corner earlier. Now, they did get Peebles. Don't really care about him. Did get a linebacker, which they needed to because Trenton Simpson's a joke. Jake Humble, they got undrafted. Mike Green, outside of his character, not character, but off the field stuff with the 2 R-word allegations, allegedly, he, by the way, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. He was found innocent of both of those allegations, one in high school and one in college. If you were found innocent and you did not do it, then you did not do it. And that's just plain and simple. So a lot of teams did not draft Mike Green because of that situation. But at the end of the day, he was found innocent. So it is what it is. Mike Green, though, really good pass rusher. So you got him. You got Odoff Owe. So again, their defense is what really scares me the most. Now, obviously, offensively, they do have a running back playing quarterback. So no legitimate quarterback outside of Cooper Rush and Devin Leary. So that's definitely something they need to work on, is get a legitimate quarterback. But still, even with their running back playing quarterback, they still got Derrick Henry. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to. Come on now. I had to. I trashed on the Browns. I trashed on the Steelers. You know we had to put this one in there too. The offensive line did get better with some draft picks. I think their offensive line pretty solid. Across the board, they're a very solid team. And this is why they did so well last year. They got DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think this is going to be anything. He's a corpse of his former self, so not really too scared about that. They also did draft a receiver in the 5th round. 6th round, not 5th round. That's a left tackle in the 5th round. They also got a left guard in the 7th round. But again, I'm not too upset, so I'm scared about their offense. It's really their defense. And again, with our lack of offensive line and lack of commitment to our offense line, as much as it could be, is a problem. Now, again, we are banking off Scott Peters really taking our offensive line and going very far, which there's a good chance he does. I have a lot of faith in him. But again, it does also come down to Jalen Rivers and Fairchild working out for us. And again, that does come down to hopefully they do, right? But we have to wait and see on that one. I still think we should go out there and sign 2, a right guard and left guard. I think we should sign veterans and have Fairchild and Rivers sit behind them and learn from them and develop behind them and have them as extra depth. That's what I think we should do. Now, will we do that? Probably not. I think that they're going to probably try to go with the guys they have and see if they can make it work, which we have learned from the past. Making it work with this front office has not been a very successful thing. So that's also another factor that we'll see if it ends up working out. Running back core, I really like the running backs we have. Zach Moss, we'll see how the situation goes with him, whether or not he is healthy enough to play. The rumor right now is he will be healthy enough to play. He will be 100%. But again, we don't know at the end of the day. We saying that right now. We restructured his contract to make it guaranteed money. But at the end of the day, if he can't go, we would either have to trade him. We're not going to cut him because of guaranteed money. So we'll probably have to trade him in the end, or he will retire. And if he medically retires, his contract would not count against us, which would work out. Samaje Perine, another really good option here. We potentially will be carrying 4 running backs going into the season. We did this before with Chris Evans and Travion Williams. Mainly the reason why we carry 4 running backs is because they're good on special teams. But honestly, at this point, you could even carry 5 running backs. It's a hard sell to do. But Kendall Milton is also really good on special teams. I think the odd man out in the end might end up being Zach Moss. And we'll try to figure out a situation with that. But again, everyone's going to compete for this job. We'll see how it works out. Now let's talk about tight ends. Tight ends got Mike Gesicki, Drew Sample, glorified fullback, Tanner Hudson, Cam Grandy, and Tanner McLaughlin. We need to see Tanner McLaughlin get a lot more play time this year, and we need to see him take off. He is a vertical threat tight end. He is a slot receiver in theory. And, especially with Jermaine Burton not working out, we need to see him become that slot receiver that we know he can be. I said it before, the offensive line is what it is. I still would like to sign 2 players, but I don't know if they're going to do that. Receiving core, we are set with the receiving core. A lot of times Zach likes to run 2 wide receiver sets with 2 tight ends, and that's kind of just how he likes to run his offense. We do run a base 4-3 defense with Al Golden. He runs a base 4-3. He does run 4-2-5 nickel formations while in nickel. So that if you are not familiar with 4-2-5, 4-2-5 is what a lot of colleges and NFL defenses run. It's a mirroring defense. It mirrors the offense. Now, there is also, I think it's 3-3-5, I want to say, that some people in colleges run, but it's not at a point where NFL teams run it as much. Anyway, shout out to our new subscriber, Jackie, for making it into the video. I kind of forgot I had alerts to one. But defensively, we need... How do I put this? We are in a situation where Al now has the pieces. We need to make it work. And that's pretty much as simple as possible. Our draft on defense was interesting. We got Shamar Stewart. Great player, great motor, a lot of quarterback pressures. He's a guy who can get to the quarterback and pressure the quarterback, but not sack the quarterback. Now, that's not a big deal, though. At the end of the day, the guy that we always have to hunt is Trey Hendrickson. And if Shamar Stewart can get that quarterback out of the pocket and make it so the quarterback is, free pickings pretty much, that's the best thing possible. Because that means Trey can hunt. That means Miles can hunt. That means all of our guys can hunt. The problem we usually have is the quarterback sticks in the pocket and we can't get it to him. And he has all day to throw the ball. Shamar Stewart is the guy that can get him out of the pocket and make him have to move around. Again, not a guy who's probably going to get to the quarterback much, but he's a disruptor. And that's exactly what we needed, and we got him. We need to see a huge jump up from Joseph Asai and Cam Sample. See how that works out. We also got B.J. Hill, McKinley Jackson. We need to see another step up of McKinley Jackson here. Last season, started off the season hurt. We'll see how it ends up turning out. Chris Jenkins started off last season hurt as well. Hopefully that works out well. We got TJ Slayton for shutting down the run, and we saw how the AFC North looks. Rushing is going to be an issue for shutting down the AFC North, but we'll see. Trey back again. Miles Murphy. Linebacking core, we are pretty set. We did also get Barrett Carter. Barrett Carter can kind of be utilized in any way possible. He can be utilized in a lot of different positions. Now, we heard the same thing when we got Miles Murphy. Oh, well, Miles Murphy from Clemson, he was utilized everywhere. He's fast. He's super speed. He can do anything. He hasn't materialized. I would like to see it materialize with Barrett Carter. I think Al will go ahead and do so. Demetrius Knight Jr., not only is he a great man and absolutely great character, he's also a guy with a high motor and will be disruptor throughout the whole entire time. Jermaine Pratt might end up getting traded or cut. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But at this moment in time, he is on our roster. Our secondary, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Our cornerback core is fine. We do not need a cornerback. What we have is young corners that need more time together to gel and be able to communicate better. The problem is last year we lost Dax Hill and DJ Turner very early on. We have a young secondary who aren't able to get play time because of injuries. I think we should be fine there. But again, we also do need a pass rush. We need to get after the quarterback. We need players like Shamar Stewart to push the quarterback out of the pocket so they have to throw the ball quickly. And that's when your secondary is going to be able to really gel and take over. No matter how good your secondary is, I don't care if you have Jalen Ramsey, Richard Sherman in his prime, and Patrick Peterson as your 1, 2, 3. It does not matter if you can't get after the quarterback. Because eventually, there's going to get someone open. After 5 seconds, somebody gets open. Just how it works. Our our safety core. Let's talk about this because we did not draft anybody, and I really don't understand why. I think we should have drafted a safety. Personally, I would love Starks, but it didn't work out. I know we do have Tyson Anderson, and we also have Anthony. It seems like ever since Anthony did the PI call against the Chiefs, wasn't a PI call. They pretty much just did not utilize him that much. Excuse me. After that, he still got a lot of play time, and I'm gonna actually pull up his snap counts for last season, but he still got a lot of play time, but mainly on special teams. And Tyson Anderson's another guy who gets a lot of play time on special teams as well. But if we look at his snap count after that Chiefs game, which I believe was like week 3 or something, you look at Anthony, he had 6 snaps, 2 snaps, 1 snap, and then he just went absolutely nothing burger. He was strictly put on special teams and not utilized at all. Tyson Anderson, it's the same concept here. When he's healthy, we utilize him mainly for special teams. Now, it's not a problem to have a guys that are dedicated to just special teams. Special teams is very important, especially with the kickoff rule changing and people have to return kickoffs. You want to have guys that are dedicated to special teams and good at special teams. But the problem is you don't want it to be a liability for your defense where you don't feel comfortable putting those guys out there because they would become liabilities for you. And when you have injuries throughout the season, which honestly, let's be honest with us, is something we always deal with, we need to have guys that are ready to go and can play at a high level. So this is why, again, I would like to have seen us draft a safety to potentially, help us out. I love Jordan Battle, but Jordan Battle can't cover. He's not that great in coverage. Will he get better? I hope he does, 100%. But at the end of the day, he's not that greatest in coverage. He's a great tackler. He's a great hit power guy. He's great in run support, and he has a very good high IQ for the football. But the problem is he can't cover, and he's a liability when he's out there in coverage because he's not the greatest. Now, again, he will get better over time. There's some things in life you can't teach. You can't teach speed. You can't teach size to a certain degree. You can make a guy more bulky, but you can't make him, 5'11", 245 all muscle. You're not going to be able to do that, right? So you can teach him to get better in coverage, but that's going to take some time. We could look toward signing a potential free safety or strong safety in free agency. Maybe bring someone in. I think the Bengals are going to do the typical where they say, hey, we like the guys on the roster. But it's not even like we signed a undrafted guy, to the safety core. Like, we have not touched this even in the undrafted period. So I would like for us to potentially go and sign somebody and bring them in and, see what they can do. Because at this moment in time, I really fear for our safety core. Geno Stone's hopefully going to have another good year. He started off last year really bad, then started playing really good at the end of the year, having an interception every single game. But we need to see more from him. Again, I would love the idea of playing Tyson Anderson, but what we have seen so far from players like Chuck Sizzle is when you're good on special teams, the Bengals do not like to use you on a defense or offense. Like Chuck Sizzle, he's a great punt returner. He's not going to touch the field no matter what as a wide receiver. He'll get little to no play time. And the reason why is because he's good on special teams. And how the Bengals work is they don't want to give you any time on offense. Last year, Chuck Sizzle did have 26 total snaps for the whole season. Why? He's good on special teams. If you're good on special teams, you're not going to get utilized on offense. It's just not going to happen. So he also dealt with injuries, beside the point. But again, you're just not going to utilize on anything else. So, for example, Tyson Anderson, great player, great on special teams. You're not going to utilize on defense. Travion Williams kind of was that split because we needed him to because of the running back core getting depleted. But even Travion, when our running backs are 100%, he's not getting play time. Now, obviously, Travion's no longer on this team, but my point is, he was a great kick returner. You're not getting play time on offense. Just how it is. So, if that's the case, right, we need to dedicate a certain amount of players to just being special teamers. We need to also dedicate, or work on making sure the starters and the rotation guys are also really good. You only have 53 men on this roster come September. And I know that sounds like a lot of players, but it's really not. Especially if you go deep at one position or you go deep at another position, you start to learn, wow, we actually are now kind of in a rough space when it comes to that. So looking at our special teams, obviously Ryan Renfro, absolute a monster. Or is it Rico? See, everyone tells me how to say his name correctly. Ryan Rico, absolute monster. Evan McPherson, we're going to chop that off as hopefully he had a bad year last year. I still do believe that, especially with the 90-man roster right now, we should bring in other potential kickers and see what they can do. Hopefully they can work out very well. Hopefully, Evan McPherson beats them all out and we're all good. Now, we do have a contract with Evan McPherson we signed last year, so that definitely does give him a head start or an advantage because at the end of the day, you don't want to lose money. But also, you need to have the best guy out there. And we lost games. We lost 3 or 4 games last year because of Evan McPherson, which is a huge problem. When you go 9-8 and you lose 3 or 4 games because your kicker, well, you know what? That really does hurt you in the end. We lost the Chargers game because he missed 2 game-winning kicks. Again, actually, wait, no. That was, never mind. That was the other kicker we had, the Browns kicker. But still, you can't afford that, right? You can't afford losing games because of kickers. You need to win games, and kicking and special teams, very, very important. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. That's kind of my analysis on everything. I'll see you guys in the next one.